Needing some encouragement to break through your now? Here's what Life Coach Sloan says. Change the way that you think and you will alter the entire course of your life.
You're tuned into Breaking Through Your Now with your life coach, Sybil Sloan.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Breaking Through Your Now with your life coach, Sybil Sloan. Today I have my special guest with me, Jennifer Stewart. Well, first I want to say she's a native of Montgomery, Alabama, but in a little dialogue I found out you're from Inglewood, California.
Yes, I was born in Inglewood, yes.
So what brought a Cali girl over here to the southern part of this country?
That's a deep question. I'll give you the
abbreviated version?
Yes, the abbreviated version. I came to live with my father.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, that's really abbrebbreviated.
Oh, yes.
So how long have you been in Alabama?
Well, I've been here since I was about 8 years old.
8 years old?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, yeah, so you're officially Southernized.
Oh, I'm a Southern girl.
You're a Southern girl?
And proud of it.
And proud of it.
Yes.
So you have what's your career path, I guess?
I am an insurance agent.
Insurance agent?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Insurance producer.
Producer?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they call them now, producers.
Yes.
I don't know if that term agent faded out or they just tried to give us a fancier name.
I liked agent better.
I liked agent better. Producers made it seem like you were. Well, I guess it made me think you were making more money than you're really making. That's what I was thinking. Like producer, you think they're making more money. Okay. They're making the same amount of commission. Okay. I don't think they changed the pay structure.
That ain't changed.
So, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about an interesting subject. We're talking about why do we attract, and this is dealing with Jennifer. Jennifer wants to know, why does she attract the same type of guys?
Oh, yes.
Like repeatedly, over and over. So give us a little bit of backdrop of why you feel like you attract the same type of guys.
Well, it's always the man with multiple baby mamas, lots of children, always slick, the players. That's pretty much it. You know, they want a certain type of woman to stay at home while they go and run the streets.
Okay, so they want the type of woman that's submissive. Would you call it submissive, or that hard-working woman that's just not just so caught up into them as far as what they're doing that they pretty much can do it in ease? Or
that could be it. I don't know. It could be a part of it. I don't know. I think, they would definitely want a woman that looks a certain part and can play a certain role. And maybe I fit the model. I don't know.
You hadn't figured it out. So when you said guys, how many, not to put your business out there, but I mean, if we're going to coach, you got to coach from a real place. So how many guys do you think you've dated that were consistently the same type? Okay. Not dated as in like hang out, but dated as in committed relationship or marriage?
Probably about 3, maybe 4. Depending on if I want to truly count them, but it's been pretty consistent. Okay, so the guy, any of them, did you marry any of them? One, yes, I did.
One you married?
I did.
Okay, how long were you guys married?
I think for 3 years, but we were together for like 14 years.
Oh, that was like a child. That had to be like was that a childhood love? Or
yeah, it was.
Okay, yeah. So, well, that one's tougher to say what the attraction was because you went from youth into that relationship. Right. So that one could have been pure. Like that could have been a pure situation. Then after that is where we could probably really start assessing. It lasted until my 30s though, so. Yeah. So when did you guys start dating?
Seriously, when I was 19.
Okay, so you were on and off how long before 19?
I met him when I was 14.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right, that's a long time. So you didn't really have time to get to know him as an adult because you guys sort of kind of grew up together.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
So are you guys still amicable or?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. You have children together?
We have 2 children together, yes.
Okay, so that sort of kind of forces you to have some type of co-parenting wisdom, because I call it wisdom, because you gotta have wisdom when you co-parent.
Most definitely.
Because you have to forget about the fact that, like, I really can't stand you, but you my baby's father, so I have to respect and tolerate you a little bit differently than I would the average person.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so you were with him since like 14, and you dated him till you were
30, 31.
Ooh, so you were 30, 31 when we got divorced?
No, I was about 33.
33 when we got divorced?
Yeah, I was 33, yeah.
That was a long time. That was all your life.
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. And so after that, you have really just been redoing the scenario.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you guys, that is interesting. Just the fact that, so I'm going to rehash this right quick before we go to a break. You dated him since you were about 14, went more serious at 19, and then you divorced around 33.
Yes.
So I'm still going to say that's all your life.
It was.
So that was all that you knew.
Most definitely.
As a person that you chose to date. So was he older than you, or you guys were the same age?
He's about 3 or 4 years older than me.
So not really that much.
Oh, no.
Because guys mature slower than ladies. So mentally, he probably was your age.
Maybe.
She's going to be nice. She's going to be nice, you guys. So, because she don't want to say anything about her baby's father. I wouldn't either. But what it is, what it is. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back. And after we come back, we're going to go to the point of asking some of the harder questions for Jennifer. And I know she's going to be over there squeezing her cheeks really hard together. But I promise you, we're going to be right back after these messages from our sponsor.
Life, auto, health, home, banking, and more. When life goes wrong, we're here to help it go right.
For all of your insurance needs, contact the Willie Durham Agency.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Well, thank you all and welcome back. So we're going to just jump right in here and start to unpack this. I call it this lifelong relationship, because that was almost 20 years of your life.
It was.
So that was your whole life at that point. 20 years. You guys started in, so 14 was about 9th grade?
I was in 10th grade at the time.
10th grade?
Yes.
Okay, so you were in 10th grade. You guys obviously finished school, and then you still wanted to continue to date?
Yeah, we did off and on. I did have a relationship in between the time where I ended up being a teen mom. So I did end up having a child from another relationship. But when she was about 1 year old, him and I reconnected. Okay. And we went from there. Okay, so when you dated him, you guys broke up, and that's whenever you ended up with the other guy? Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, but it wasn't like the other guy was there the whole time that you were dating him?
No. No. I actually broke up with him to be with the other guy. Like, I was very honest. You know, I was young, but I was just like, hey, I like him. I was like, hey.
I like him better than you, so I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so what, now this is the thing, because a lot of times when we're talking about relationships, we have to unpack. Everything in life that we experience as adults, whether we really think so or not, is just a duplication of our childhood. A lot of times we don't want to say that because it's uncomfortable, but that's like the hardest part as an adult, to realize you're really reliving your childhood, and whatever in your life that wasn't really brought to surface in your childhood, it surfaces in your adulthood, and it basically starts to duplicate itself until you realize that this is a duplication, or you realize that, hey, I don't like this. So what I heard from you earlier was, I don't like this because I'm really tired of the cycle of dating the same kind of guy.
Most definitely. So
he was only a couple years older than you, so you guys were wise enough to make adult decisions. When you guys dated, what was it about him? What was it about him that you liked, that drew you to him?
I was more myself with him. I was able to say whatever I wanted. I didn't feel intimidated by him. Okay. So yeah, I would just be crazy with him, and he just loved it. I mean, any man would if you're truly being yourself. So yeah, so it wasn't so much his personality or anything like that. I mean, I wish I could say that, and I'm not, trying to be ill towards him, but I mean, the fact of the matter is I just was able to be myself with him.
So the guy that you dated in between there, what did you feel like you had to sort of were they similar at all?
No, they were not. He had more of an outgoing personality. He was really funny, cute, you know, and I still was able to be myself with him also. Okay. So yeah, so we were more like brother and sister. Yeah. So.
The guy that you dated after him?
Yeah.
Okay, so then eventually you broke up with him, but you got back with your daughter's father.
Yes.
So what was it about him that you said you keep seeing in the other guys?
I guess it's the player mentality. Well, what I found that is consistent is the fact that these are all men that are raised by single moms.
Okay.
They didn't have their dad in their lives a lot. They've had multiple children with multiple women. And it's almost, I can't say that all of them solely depend on their mother, but I mean, I can see that quality that's consistent where they do lean on their mother in some form or fashion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you came, so now I'm gonna go back a little further. When you came here, did your mom come with you to North Carolina, or did you, North Carolina, I done put you all the way, I done put her in North Carolina, you guys. You know what that means, I wanna go home. Did your mom come with you to Alabama, or you?
No, she did not. My mother is the reason why I had to come here. So okay. Yeah, my mother did have a drug addiction, and I mean, we lived in LA in the 80s, so it was kind of rampant.
Right.
So yeah, so that's how I ended up here.
Okay, so now, so we have to touch the sore areas.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So there's an area where you had a disconnect.
Oh yeah.
And they have a connect. So do you see that now that we're talking about it?
So they had their moms and I didn't have mine?
So you're following me.
Okay.
So, well, not so much you didn't have her, but she wasn't present.
Right.
Because even sometimes with their addictions, we have them, we just don't, they're really not present. So they can't parent us.
Right.
So there's a void.
Most definitely.
Your void wasn't the same as theirs. It was a gender difference. Mm-hmm. Your void was mom. Their void was dad.
Yeah.
So now, whenever you're meeting these guys, they've never had a role model to show them how a man's supposed to act.
Right.
And most of them, I can't say all, but I can successfully say most of them probably seen their mom date guys who wasn't up to par.
Probably.
And when mom's guy is not up to par, you develop some type of feeling about what a man is supposed to look like. Wow. So if your mom dated guys who mistreated her, who cheated on her, who abused her, somewhere psychologically you think if those are the type of men that you've seen, that's what a man should be. You're either going to become what you see, because we usually become the very thing that we hate. True. That's what people don't understand. So if you hated the way people treated your mom, if you hated the things that you seen your mom go through, and that like sort of kind of clouds your mind and your vision, you eventually become the very thing that you dislike or you felt like was part of your problem growing up.
Right.
So with that being said, we're going to have to take another break. But I know that when we have an absence, sometimes the things that we see formulate our concepts about who we should be. So we know that the similarity between these guys is their moms raised them as single parents. Right. That's across the board. Oh, yes. So we know naturally that there's issues. So we're going to be right back, you guys. Hold fast, and we're going to come right back and finish discussing this. And welcome back. We were, just before the break, we were talking about the fact that all of these gentlemen were raised by single mothers. And we realize in life, for people in general, whenever you're raised by one parent or there's a missing parent in the home, there's a void. And what we learn from people who are dating our parents. And sometimes, especially with guys, there's anger. or they witnessed their mom being treated by a certain guy a way that they didn't like, and they focus on, or their thoughts are, I'm not going to be him. So the more you think I'm not going to be him, you become him. Or the more they think I don't want to be my dad, they become their dad. Right. Especially if their dad, depending on the relationship the mom had with the dad, if the mom had poor relationships with the guys that she dated, if she dated guys who messed around, if she dated guys who cheated on her, those guys started to see those things and they started to hate. Or in some instances, if you are the child of a guy who had cheated on his wife. Oh, yeah. So now that seed is inside of that child.
I had one of those. Yes.
Right. Because the Bible says that the sins of the father is testified by the child. Oh, yeah. So even though he wasn't physically present when his father committed the act, yes, he was still present. The mom brings him forth as a child, and now that seed was still planted. So even in his father's absence, he still had an impact on his life because he was conceived out of wedlock by a mistress. So he had to be kept a secret, probably. Not always, but most of the time that outside child, which is considered illegitimate, is the secret. Right. Mistreated, oftentimes ostracized. And then, so now you have an angry guy who's determined he's not going to be his dad, but he becomes his dad anyway. Oh, yeah. Because wherever our energy is, whatever we focus on not becoming, that's the very thing we become. Oh, yeah. Because wherever your focus and your energy go, that's where your power goes. That's where your members go. Your mind is always on. If you think about it, the more we talk about losing weight, and the more we say, the more we talk about being fat, the fatter we get. So it's like that with everything else in life. So in these instances, these guys were like, oh, I'm not going to be my dad. I can't stand him, or I hate my dad. Because somewhere in there, the mom had to say, your dad's not around because he's with his family. Or the son had to learn this somewhere, because grown-ups talk and they have conversations you overhear when you should be in the bed while mama talking to auntie. So you heard some of these things. Or your mom was with this guy who was a cheater, where you watched him run in and out of your mama's life, and your mom began to accept that. And so you view that as, this is what I should look like if I'm dating somebody. Now you, on the other hand, you think because your dad's always present, you don't have a gauge to see, well, how is mom supposed to interact? Because your mom is missing, not missing physically, but she's absent. And so in her absence, you don't know how to deal with not having my mom here, because there's some anger in there, there's some self-esteem there, because the mom gives us the nurturing. So our moms are the one who nurtures us, who gives us that affection that usually, dad gives affection but differently from a mama. So when mama's not there to tell you, hey pretty girl, you know how mamas do whenever they, like you would do with your daughters, you do things with them to just make them feel good about themselves. So mom's absent. Yes. So mom's absent, now you feel some kind of way about Jennifer. Yeah. So Jennifer feels like I gotta accept some things that maybe I shouldn't accept because they like me. I mean, they kicking it with me. They giving me attention. They can't be so bad. So you tolerate, because it's still inside of you, they might be telling you you're all that. They might be giving you those words of affirmation to make you feel value. Right. And you miss value from mama. So even though your dad might have said you're cute or you're pretty, you still missed it. And from the nurturing source, because the mama is the nurturer. So now you have somebody else giving you that, and you're like, well, you know, they're making me feel good, so help me out. So were these guys giving you some words to make you feel good about yourself, which was building you up in some parts of your person? Oh yeah, that's always been the thing. You know, you're pretty, you're, you know, gorgeous or whatever. Yeah, so I never lacked hearing that from a man. Okay, so by them giving that to you, how did that make you feel? Did that make you feel like he was the one, or he cared about you? Yeah, most definitely. So a false sense of security. Oh yeah. Definitely false, yes, but yeah. And then that false sense of security, you were still dealing with your insecurity, because now you want to know why your mama just couldn't get it together for you. Yeah, that's true, yeah. Or why I wasn't good enough.
Well, it's not so much that I know that I wasn't good enough, but I did feel that void when I was growing up. I was told that I was coming here just for a little while, and then it was, when can I go home? When can I come home? And it will always be, well, you can't come home yet, So, yeah, it's a feeling of abandonment.
That's the feeling.
Yeah.
And so in being abandoned, that forces us not to want to withdraw from a situation that could feel like abandonment. Because why would I want to break up with this guy? He's nice to me. He gives me compliments. So if I break up with him, does that mean I'm going to be by myself? So how many times did you have that feeling like, if I break up with him, that means I'm going to be by myself?
Oh yeah, I had it a lot. I would do it now. I would still break up with him. I would do it often, but I would just go right back.
Okay,
so yeah, because it was that, I would go back to my comfort zone of being with them. Yeah.
Oh, and that being accepted made you feel like this was the place to be.
Yes.
So how are you feeling? Because it's almost like you're pulling skin off. So how are you feeling pulling the skin back?
I feel okay right now.
You feel okay? Yeah. So you guys, I know this is a tough topic, but keep it locked in right here. We're going to be right back with more conversation with Jennifer, and we're going to unravel the debacle.
Life, auto, health, home, banking, and more. When life goes wrong, we're here to help it go right.
For all of your insurance needs, contact the Willie Durham Agency.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And so as you're dealing with that, you're like, okay, you would break up with them, but you said you would go back.
Oh, yeah. So
that was a need to feel like you had somebody in your life, because once you break up with them, you'd be like, oh, I'm by myself. I don't want to be by myself.
Yeah, I would date. I guess I would date other guys in between, but they wouldn't be that thing that I was attracted to. They would be so nice. They would treat me so good, but for some reason, I just wasn't attracted to it.
Oh, well, okay, so your dad raised you?
Yes. And my grandparents, yes.
And your grandparents. Yes. So your dad was obviously your hero. You look up to your dad.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
So did these guys have any characteristics of your father?
Yeah, I could say that my dad has had a few relationships, yeah, so that resembled, my dad. The fact that they were in leadership, like my dad, that was definitely, that definitely resembled my dad.
Okay, so in reality, it may not have been the void that was pushing you. It could have been your heroism and what you thought a man looks like, because you said the guys had qualities that mirrored your father. So most girls are going to look for their father in a man. Period. That's just real life. When we look for a guy, we look for our father. Not because we want to be with our father, but the attributes and the qualities. That's what draws us to a guy. My dad is a nice guy, but he's stern. So I don't do well with a jellyback guy. My dad's always worked, so I don't do well with men that don't work. My dad's always responsible. So I don't do well with guys who aren't responsible. My dad's always got major swag. I don't do well with guys who don't groom well. My dad takes care of his hygiene and his teeth, and so it's just certain things that are just disqualifiers.
Most definitely.
Because when I think of man, I look at my dad and my grandfathers, and I'm like, I know what a man looks like. And I tell people that all the time. I know what a man looks like. And they're like, what does that mean? I'm saying I was raised by a real man. My grandfathers were real men. So this is what I look like. So with that being said, girls chase their dad in men.
I agree, yes.
So if what you've seen in those guys was the person that provided and took care of you and the person that you loved, then it wouldn't be hard for you to desire a person that mirrored that, because the person that you knew that looked like that loved you unconditionally.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Altered their life to raise a girl, and raising a girl as a single father is a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Especially back then in the South.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't typically heard of. So there was an adjustment that you had to make. So now as you grow up, you're liking these guys. So you have to have some real conversations with yourself now. Because if their qualities match your dad's, some of your characteristics of your dad, you have to come to terms with like, hey, that wasn't what I need. Like that's not what I want. And you have to say, okay, I gotta keep the part of my dad that I love.
Right.
Because he was a provider. He took care of me. But there are some parts of my dad that's not so pretty.
Right.
That I have to quit being attracted to in these guys.
Right.
Because that's real life. Like, you're attracted to your dad in guys. And I know it sounds sort of kind of weird, but what I'm saying is what you see in a man is the attributes that your dad taught you a man is supposed to look like.
That's true.
Like he says, this is the way a man's supposed to look.
Oh, yeah.
And if a man doesn't look like this in a little girl's eyes, he's not a man.
Right.
Because this is how my daddy looked. If your dad had been an abuser, you would have sought out abusers. If your dad would have been an addict, you would have sought out addicts, unless you would have had something in your mind that shifts you so much that you don't attract yourself to that person. But that's what you seen a man look like. You seen a man look like slick. You seen a man look like, Papa was a Rolling Stone. And I mean, Bishop say that in the pulpit, so all I can do is glean from the fact that he's giving out information that, as he said, he clears his throat and does a little grin. So do you see how you can keep attracting these guys?
Oh yeah, most definitely. When you talk about the style, the hygiene and things like that, the high self-esteem. Yeah, I can definitely, that's my dad, yeah.
And so at this point, now that we've arrived at these are the things that we're actually real life facing, because now, hey, I've been looking for my dad in these guys, and I don't really think that might be what I want to do. Yeah. So now you have to retrain your mind.
Oh, yeah.
To think like this ain't really what I want, because this is not working for me. And I'm sure if you had the conversation with your dad, you'll be like, Jen, this ain't what you want. Like, those things are not what you want. He'll say, I wasn't wise, or I made poor choices, or I didn't think things through. Or he'll say, I did what I seen. Because that's what people do. In real life, we do what we see. If you're mimicking something, experiencing something, you're mimicking or experiencing what you have watched as a child, because that's what happens. It goes from childhood to adulthood. And if we never deal with it in our adulthood, it becomes a permanent part, or in your growing up, if you never deal with it, it becomes a permanent part of your adulthood until you learn how to overcome it. And you guys, we're going to have to make 2 segments of this conversation. Remember that if you change the way that you think, you will alter the entire course of your life. We're going to be back next week with this conversation. So stay tuned as we come back more with the debacle, as we unpack and unravel the life of Jennifer Stewart and her dating.